if you're a dungeon master like me who prefers to run more serious, edgy games with more serious storylines, the toughest job that you could possibly have is to find a way to get your players to emotionally invest themselves in that story. Um, what is it that's going to make them care about those NPCs? What is it that's going to make them care about the quest? Care about helping these people? Care about being a hero as opposed to just a looter? Um, and when I wrote Days of Blight, that's kind of what I had in mind to even be able to elicit that response from the most mercenary of players. Um, I wrote this as a horror setting where Night Hag was preying on a remote village, stealing their children and performing terrible rituals on them. But it is rather long-winded. But in order to get your players to care about these NPCs, you have to give each of these NPCs a backstory. They have to feel like real people. Um, and in this case, I spent a lot of time thinking about each NPC, thinking about their motives and their motivations, um, and trying to think of ways to engage the players in their story. Not just the story of the Night Hag, but the story of each of these individuals. Um, so when, for example, Eli Sybil is kidnapped by the Hag, you know, what is it that's going to prompt the heroes to um, engage and help Levi and his wife go searching for their son when there are so many evils about that could cost them their lives. The Hag has their allies, and they have magical means by which they control the weather. So it's I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what sorts of things would kind of tug at the heartstrings of my players and um, and really engage them. And I found that it really started with the story of the NPCs, like I said, and you know, yes, in the end, there's a fight for the freedom of these children, and there's even a way to rescue the souls of the lost children. So not only can you save those who have been taken this time, you're able to save the souls, the spirits, and in D&D it's a very material thing. It's not so much a metaphysical thing as it is a very material thing, a spirit, because people can be resurrected, they can be brought back to life. You can meet the ghosts of these people, and in this story, they actually do. This hag had preyed upon these villagers once before, 30 years earlier, and one of the things that happened this time is as children were disappearing, the village began to implode upon itself. The hag's plans were to not only take these children and do horrible things to them, but to get the village itself to turn on itself. And they have these witch hunts and these witch trials that the party has to intervene in, and and all the while you have to keep dropping these hints to the players. Hey, these are good people who are doing things out of fear. And so it's not enough for the party just to say, well, I'm going to go in there swinging a sword, because yes, the adventurers are going to be powerful enough to wade through these villagers, but that would be an absolute villainous thing to do. And so you really have to engage your players on that level and continue to remind them that people do terrible things out of fear. People do things that they wouldn't normally do when confronted by extreme circumstances. And so that's really what this adventure is about. It's about not only courage in the face of evil, but understanding and empathy for those who may be doing something that you might consider an evil act or a terrible act, but understanding that they're acting out of fear. These aren't villainous people. And so what's interesting is I'm working on the sequel to Days of Blight 2. This is going to be the cover art for it once it's all said and done. And this village that is centered in this one, where the party goes hunting for the night hags, that this gray coven, as it's called, they go hunting for them to put a final end, stick a fork in them, as it is. This village is kind of the opposite of this previous village. This first village from the first mod is a deeply devout religious community that the hags chose because, the night hag's shtick is to corrupt the incorruptible, to lead good people down to the road of evil. And that's what they were trying to do. They're not only trying to steal their kids and make these sacrifices, but they were trying to induce these good people into doing these horrible acts. And in this one, the hags dwell in a blighted swamp, and on the edge of that blighted swamp is a community of brigands and criminals and outcasts who raid up and down the river. And it's from this village that the party must derive clues as to where the hags are and how to put an end to them. They know that they're in the swamp somewhere. They just don't know where. So, I really enjoy putting together stories where each and every NPC has a detailed background, and I think that makes it much easier for players to invest themselves and really care about the story and the NPCs that they're trying to help. Anyway, this is kind of one of my adventures that I wrote. This is much darker. Much. It actually kind of put me in a sour mood by the time I was done writing it because it was so dark. But I hope you guys check it out. It's on the DM's Guild, Days of Blight, and hopefully in October, Days of Blight 2 will be coming out, and that's just here in a few weeks. So keep an eye out for it.